Well, hello guys, welcome back. I should be testing my mic. Let me see if my mic's running. Yep, my mic's running. I have to test it because sometimes now I'm switching to video games and switching mics, and this doesn't auto switch my mic back over. Life has gotten really complicated for me lately. You know how I was working with Inari, and Susanna O had shown up, and Susanna O was kind of pushing me into working with a couple other kami. And when I mean push, I mean he's a trickster deity, so he will give you like a Loki shove. So and then I found another centipede tonight. And at first I was gonna scream, but I figured this many showing up, me noticing this many, somebody's sending me a sign, and they are sacred to Bishamon, which is one of the 7 gods of good fortune or good luck, depending how you translate it. And he's a god of soldiers, and one of the things he will do is that if he thinks you're not being brave enough or facing something you should, he'll make you face it head on. And what I did is I put yardstick in the tub, and I encouraged the centipede to climb up the yardstick, all well and good, and she did, and I gently tipped it over, and she fell a tiny bit, but she was okay. She was okay. She hid. Well, I had to be curious to see where she went to, and she didn't like the flashlight, because I put the stick away and I got the flashlight out. She charged at me. Now, let's be clear, she wasn't attacking me, she was just frightened because a sudden light source hit her, and they really don't like bright light. They will just freak out of their tiny little centipede mind. So she charged at me, charged past me as I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, which they also don't like. And, you know, I'm backing up. She charged past me and ran into the kitchen and tried to find a place to hide. I felt bad for her. So no, I didn't hurt her, and they actually eat nasties. They tend to come in. I live right on the woods, so I tend to get everything. Mice, snakes, centipedes. I don't have a full-blown invasion, and if she's in here and she's hunting, she's keeping even worse things at bay. So she's welcome here, but it was definitely Vishamon was like, we're here. And I guess maybe one of the other 7, which Inori sometimes included in those 7, tried to get my attention, and it didn't work. So they were like, oh, let him do it. He'll get her attention. She hates centipedes. So that was interesting. I'm not going to say I hug them now and will kiss them, but I was actually cheering for the little centipede when she made it up the yardstick and made it away safely. So I felt bad for her because I could see I was talking to her while she was scurrying around the tub, and I realized she was more terrified of me than I was of her. She was having a full-blown panic attack, and since I get panic attacks, I actually bonded with this little centipede, and I felt compassion for her. I had no idea how scary we are to them, and kind of taught me a lesson. And then I was watching someone else's presentation on Shinto, and I'm like, 2 things came up. 1, obviously, crap, now I'm Shinto, because I don't like change. And 2, oh man, I can't get out of this because, you know, I've been watching a lot of Shinto presentations lately, and, you know, it's kind of funny what stuck out, like the Norse gods being included has stuck out, and all the gods of all the world being included as kami is stuck out, and also that the kami want to be included. You are not keeping them out. If you don't include them, they will just show up ready to party and just let you know that they are in the general vicinity. So it's like, ah. And this doesn't mean I have to run out and buy 5 million statues. Actually, in the original way they did Shinto, it was very simple. In fact, we would be, as Americans, we would recognize it more maybe think of Spartan appearance. There'd be no statues, there'd be no fancy, there'd be no paint. That was Chinese and Buddhist, I believe, influence. All the beautiful colors, if you see Fushimi and Nari Tasha, I think Tasha is the last word. It's beautiful. It's red and gold, and it has all this elaborate. Well, that's more influenced. Original Shinto shrines would have looked a lot like, you know, Norse huts. They would have looked remarkably alike. So that was interesting, and I'm not any expert, and that's why I've been so reluctant to move forward because I didn't want to become one of those people that, the people I mean that they've been studying something for a hot minute, now suddenly they're an expert, or they kind of think they own something and they totally discovered it and they know it better than the people it came from. I did not want to, come at it with, all this hubris and pride, and I was like trying very hard to even run away from Inari, and Loki would just scruff me like a fox cub and be like, "Oh no, you're not." So they let Susanoo give me a lecture, which was very interesting. It was like a Ogu lecture, if you've ever gotten one of those. And it's been nice because the house feels a lot more settled. And I went out to see the friend that's closing her business, and I went to see the other friend, and the upshot was they confirmed too that the guy who lives next door is no good. His whole family has been no good. They've all been like that. They're just, how there's always that one family in town that they're a bunch of sneak thieves and they think they're entitled to it, and oh, woe is me. So, I'm under no obligation to give that man $10, and I figure the more people I tell in town, the more likely he'll know that I'm out spreading the word. I'm not trying to be malicious, but I'm also like, hey, I'm tired. I've had absolutely enough. He's been a problem neighbor all my life, for 40 plus years, and I've had enough. I have had enough. Yeah, it kind of like, you ever see those, like, when I used to be Christian or, Catholic, and I was, like, trying to fight being pagan, people will talk about marrying someone, and there was this one couple that when they got married, they both used to pray to God that the other one would die. And I said passingly, it would be wonderful if he just conveniently dropped dead. You guys know what I mean. You say stuff, you don't literally mean it. You just wish a person would stop acting like that. And I just kind of had a down day, so I'm very sorry that I missed posting anything yesterday. And this is actually early Saturday morning, so happy Loki's Day. I am just so upset, kind of in shock, kind of almost numb about the latest school shooting. And it's kind of sickening me how everybody's like kind of running and using this as a campaign for whether there should be more guns or whatever, political agenda they have. You guys know how I feel, so I don't have to go on. I don't feel we should lose any of our children. And I certainly don't think giving everybody in the school guns going to solve anything, but, I come from Pennsylvania. Our final defense is a bucket of rocks at one school. Which should, instead of making fun of them, people should actually, want to sit down and have a good cry that, people are going to go down fighting. That's kind of what happened September 11th, also in Pennsylvania, that the people decided to go down fighting, which is why the devastation wasn't as bad as it should have been. So it's something in Pennsylvania nature, perhaps, that we will go down fighting. You might have a gun, and we might just have a little bucket full of rocks, but we will fight you. So yeah, it was kind of interesting, and I feel so bad for our children today. We couldn't have imagined that. I mean, when I went to school, they used to chain all the doors with heavy truck chains for towing stuff, for like trailer trucks to tow stuff. They would put those on the doors, and they would put padlocks on all the doors. If there would have ever been a fire, God forbid there would have ever been a fire, the kids could have never got out in time. We couldn't go out because we might have smoked. That was the biggest thing in my day, that you might have been smoking. And not weed either. You might have been smoking cigarettes. And it's just, to me, it's inconceivable what you young people have to deal with today. So it's like, it's really upsetting. And I used to work with kids, and, some schools were never as safe as other schools. So you always had bad kids in school, but that was like your biggest threat, that they might beat the crap out of you, but, they never would have killed you. Maybe you saw that in a Hollywood movie or heard rumors it happened somewhere else, but bullies just, they just tormented people. They didn't, they might have even beat you up, but usually, there was never any idea of, people were gonna kill other people. And the sad thing is, it's not the only school incident we've had, it's just the biggest lately. And I just, my heart goes out to the young people. And I don't have a magic solution. I wish I did. I mean, we can't, drag them all out of school and homeschool them, though. Now I'm, a bigger proponent of that, because they have to learn to work with other people sometime. But, what can you do? So, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the families. And I'm just so sick and tired of having to do the delicate dance of, do we mention this or don't? But I think we should, because it's if it becomes the norm to the point where we're like, oh, that happened last week too, I'm not going to mention this one, then that's not the country I want to live in. So, wishing you all Godspeed, and have a good time with Loki or anybody else you're working with, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.